Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. It is, of course, the Fruit Nut News on, of course, the 23rd, ladies and gentlemen, Monday the 23rd. It is, of course, the evening time. As you can tell, we are a little bit dark. We're a little bit dark. Anyway, what have we got for you today? Well, let's have a quick hello to everybody. We got Dave Hunter's in, first in. All right, Dave. All right, Dave. How you doing, mate? How you doing? Chris Taylor's in, Lisa's in, Yvonne's in, Shaz is in, Pam's in, Mary's in, Angela Davis is in, Denise is in, Island's in, Bill Gill's in, Ishla's in, Smarts is in, Livia's in, Joanna Unwin, Sue's in, Brenda Harris is in, Diane Williamson's in, Joyce Guest is in, Kim Jin Dolly's in, Kira's in, A New Life is in, Brenda Corcoran's in, Glenn Pearson's in, Jackie's in, Kath Miser's in, Starry Night's in, she's in, Patricia, John Brink is in, Fun Clips is in, Zena's in, Karen Moore's in, Looney Lena's joining us tonight as well. We've also got Christine Owen, Jason Thomas, Lisa Thurwill, Graham's in, and that is about it, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, it is an emergency broadcast on this very interesting night that we've got. So Monday the 23rd, it is of course the 24th tomorrow. If you didn't know. So there you go. So now apparently tourists are refusing to go into central London. Tourism has changed in London quite dramatically over the reports of Sadiq Khan and mass praying events and stabbings and mobile phone thefts. Tourists now are flooding to the Cotswolds, the north of England, Scotland, Wales, everywhere except fucking London. Everybody's had enough of the royals. They've had enough of the bullshit going on there. And so, yes, very, very interesting. Now, Mandelson, fucking hell, you cannot write this shit. Mandelson, of course, as you well know, is going through a little bit of a torrid time at the moment. Now, I don't quite know why his phone hasn't been snatched already, but apparently Mandelson's phone has been stolen. These, of course, are all the messages on there that are linked to Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files. Well, would you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? Would you believe it? I mean, you just couldn't write that little script, could you? What an amazing coincidence. Of all the people to have the phone stolen, it just happens to be Mandelson right at the moment when he was due to get questioned. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't understand why his mobile phone wasn't seized as a matter of course. Straight away, ladies and gentlemen. Which pulls us into all kinds of questions in regard to the policing situation. Meanwhile, of course, we have heard that the Met Chief, Mark Rowley, is demanding the unredacted Epstein files. Now, this could be a complete and utter red herring, but you just never know. Now, what he said is, he said the US version is particularly pathetic in regards to details, etc., etc., etc. And I need to be able to investigate the truth in regards to Andrew Mandelson and Starmer. Now, this is quite interesting because it appears on the surface that Andrew has been thrown under the bus by the royal entourage and is basically going to be made the scapegoat. However, as we move forward, it will be interesting to see, because that particular storyline has gone a little bit lukewarm for me, a little bit too lukewarm. So anyway, and of course, the idea behind the Royals throwing Andrew under the bus is simply to take the heat off themselves. I think it was, now where did I write this down? I wrote it down somewhere. The King, where's the King? Oh yeah, the King. I've got bits of paper here. I'm like a fucking proper sleuth. Now the King, the headline of the King is under pressure in regards to the resurfacing of Epstein links. Now, is that headline telling us that the King is linked to Epstein through the files? Which, of course, leads you to question, William, what about William? What about Kate? We certainly know that Fergie is in the firing line, okay? She seems to have disappeared. The daughters, apparently, the last time I knew, were living in Italy. They visited Epstein while he was while he was convicted, I think. So it is an interesting, situation. So now, of course, let's remember that Epstein was Epstein was the centre was at the centre of the royal monarchy. So, not only are we looking at Andrew, we're looking at the King, William, Harry, Meghan, Fergie, Kate, all of the other fuckers involved in it. Now, you're not telling me that as a royal father or as a royal brother or as a royal cousin, you don't know what this cheeky fucker's been doing. Now, let's remember that Andrew was UK international envoy, I think it was, representing Britain in trade deals across the world. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Also remember, maybe Jimmy Savile wasn't connected to Epstein because Jimmy Savile was his own fucking entity, but it certainly brings up the question about Richard Branson. Remember, Kate was a yacht girl for Richard Branson for a number of years. In fact, Meghan was basically tapping up Andrew for about 3 years before Harry. High-class prostitutes come to mind here. Know what I mean? Very interesting. So anyway, it will, of course, all come out. Now, the other day, Kate was knocking about in some green fucking coat. I don't know what it was, but Patrick's Day, I think it was. That wasn't the important thing. I was looking at Kate thinking, that's fucking not Kate. I don't know what it was about it. It just wasn't resonating with me. It certainly didn't look like a female. Yes, very interesting. But of course, what's happening is, if you've noticed, as the frequency of the planet rises through the human resonance, and not only that, but also the Abadan Stargate, which is the center of the, I talked to you about this morning, which is the center of the grid around the world. It's causing them a lot of problems to hold their vibration in this human form, so to speak. So they seem to be glitching quite a lot. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were talking about clones, and we were basically saying, we wonder if that there's rather a lot of clones on the planet and very few human beings. I mean, I've come across some fucking weird people. Do you know what I mean? Also, as well, you see, we've got to factor in with the Epstein thing. We've got to factor in Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci, Porton Down with the COVID, the Pirbright Institute. Also, as well, we've got to factor in the other day where it's been proven that NATO was responsible for the COVID coordination. Very interesting. So it's all getting very interesting. And if you've got no idea that there's a big club going on, I just wanted to point this out. Now, this has been pulled up with people that I know that are working in the health industry. They're working in the police, and they're also working as teachers. And the education system is destroying teachers. There's been a recent number of teachers have been sacked because of their views in regards to migrants, COVID, teaching practices, NHS practices, government practices, when the teachers have aired their views on social media, and then they've basically been taken down. Very interesting. Good teachers have lost their jobs. Good teachers have lost their jobs. Now, this is not only the education system, of course. Exactly the same thing is happening in the NHS. It's happening in local government. It's happening with the police. So if you, are still under the impression that this is not a big cult, then of course you've got another thing coming, because cults generally stick together, and I wouldn't say they protect their own people, but they protect the corporation. So it's very interesting to watch this all unfold. Now, here's an interesting one. I gave you the news this morning in regards to the Golders Green ambulances. Okay? I want you to think about Golders Green. What does that mean, right? Now, first of all, it's come about now that the Jewish ambulances that were destroyed this morning are going to be replaced by the NHS. Interesting, that. Interesting. Keir Starmer is going to use taxpayers' money to pay for these Jewish ambulances. Now, once again, Keir Starmer is, of course, winning votes. Okay? Now, the question is, these vehicles should be insured. These vehicles should be insured fully comprehensive and for fire and theft. Very interesting. It also brings up the question about the gas bottles. All ambulances have, gas on board, i.e. oxygen. Oxygen, when it's in a bottle, is very fucking dangerous. Let me tell you. Let me tell you how dangerous it is, okay? A friend of mine was welding using oxyacetylene. So you use acetylene and oxygen. You mix that through a burner, okay? So he was doing some welding, and he didn't have what he called a flashback arrestor, okay? So the flashback arrestor, if any of the oxygen ignites and flashes back down the pipes towards the bottle, the flashback arrestor kicks in and stops the fire going into the bottle. My mate wasn't using a flashback arrestor in the shed. Now, luckily, the shed was at the bottom of the garden, surrounded by trees, okay? Now, during the time that he was welding, he noticed that the shed was getting rather warm. when he looked up, the top of the oxygen bottle was literally white hot. It was actually, it was a miracle that it didn't explode. Anyway, he didn't know what to do, ran down, called 999. Let me tell you what the fire service did. The fire service, right, basically attended, but they were taking cover behind the trees, okay? They cleared out half a mile of people. In a half a mile radius, they cleared the people, right? Now, I estimate that these ambulances had gas bottles, okay, on board that were basically the same capacity as what my mate did, okay? And the story is that those gas bottles exploded. Now, if those gas bottles exploded, everything within probably about 200 yards would be literally demolished. I mean, the buildings at the side of those ambulances would have been gone. You know, it's very questionable. If you notice the report as well, when they were doing the reporting, they were basically doing the reporting on the side of the road near the, near the blast. The walls were unmarked. There was no broken glass. There was nothing. Those, those buildings would have had the windows blown out, completely blown out, absolutely completely blown out. Looks to me like it was a NATO exercise or a CIA exercise. Maybe, who knows? So we shall wait and see. We shall wait and see on that one. Now, here's an interesting one. Okay, here's an interesting one. Larry Silverstone, remember this geezer? Terrorist insurance on the buildings 2 weeks before 9/11 dropped. Remember this? Remember this? Now, Keir Starmer, okay, so somebody has forgotten to insure the ambulances. Ooh, very interesting. The place where it happened was a place called Golders Green. Now, ambulances are green, are we not? Okay. Golders Green. Golders Green. Golders Green. Gold is green. Gold is green. Golders Green. Gold is green. So, are we being told that the gold-backed currency is green for go? There you go. There you go. There you go. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Don't want to say too much. But anyway. Now, just nipping back to the Iranian situation. We've got the US Robert E. Perry, or Percy. Got fucking Percy. What a name. Now, apparently, according to the latest reports, the US Robert E. Percy is at the bottom of the Red Sea. It was sunk by 5 missiles, which cost about £3. And it was sunk in about 20 minutes. So this is a little bit of a setback. On board of this ship was £57 billion worth of missiles, which is now at the bottom of the Red Sea. This actually equates for 47 years of United States stockpiling of missiles. The question is, they're all at the bottom of the Red Sea. They're not going to be doing very much down there, are they? It's an interesting little situation. Now, we did tell you this morning that Zach Polanski and and of course the plumber Dave Hanna are looking more and more like Rodney Starmer. Now, Zach is claiming not only that he can make women's boobs bigger by hypnosis, but now he's also claiming that women can have a penis and it can work really well. Now, I don't know about you, but as I said this morning in my morning AM report, I know that trans men that flip over to be a woman can be some very attractive women with a cock. Unfortunately, I haven't met anybody yet. Who is a woman that has somehow managed to get a cock. But anyway, it's an interesting one for Zach, and I hope him and Hannah can work that one out. Yeah, very interesting. I'm not quite sure whether the Muslim voters in Denton and Manchester are going to be a little bit confused by this political rhetoric. But anyway, we shall wait and see. Now, let's also remember that this ship that happens to be at the bottom of the Red Sea, remember that there happens to be quite a lot of internet cables underneath the Red Sea. Now, most of you probably think that internet's run by satellites, etc., etc. Unfortunately, that's a little lie NASA have told you to of course, make you think that we are technologically more advanced than what we actually are. Unfortunately, no, the internet is run on cables. These cables were laid quite a few years ago. And they continue to lay cables across the sea. So Britain is connected to America. I mean, just think how fucking long that cable is, eh? Imagine that fucker being cut in half, and you've got to go and do it. And for anybody thinking that cable laying ships don't exist, let me tell you they do, because about 5-6 years ago, probably actually more than that, I was actually working on one in Middlesbrough. Very interesting. Interesting bit of kit. Yeah, you may say that, well, you're quite a talented lad, Mark. Well, actually, I actually tend to agree with you. I have done quite a lot of stuff, to be honest. Yeah, and of course, as you all know, going back to the satellites, those satellites, of course, are connected to balloons. Now, I've just seen Vanessa. Vanessa is apparently on with Gary Waterman at 9 p.m. tonight. So if you want to watch Gary Waterman and our Vanessa, then please tune in. 9 p.m. tonight, she's on with Gary Waterman. So, yeah, go and check that out, and let's feed it back into the news. Anyway, listen, ladies and gentlemen, watch the water comes to mind, of course. I'm going to get myself up. It is, of course, Monday evening, and I am fairly tired. So, lovely ladies, I'm going to get off. See you soon. Take care. Tomorrow is, of course, whatever tomorrow, 24th tomorrow. Oh, you know, we're nearly at the end. And then, of course, Easter is fast approaching. Easter's fast approaching, ladies and gentlemen. 1st of April, New Year's Day. Wow. It's going to be biblical, as they say in the trade. Anyway, love you loads. Take care.